How's it going? It's Jesse Ziegler from Cycle News, and I'm going to give you the race test breakdown of the all-new 2023 Surron Storm Bee full-size dirt bike. Now, Surron is a bike you might be familiar with even if you don't know the brand necessarily, but you've seen them around your town probably. And what you've probably seen is Surron's sort of entry-level entrance to the electric dirt bike, pit bike market in the Light Bee. It's sort of a hybrid mountain bike, motorcycle looking thing that you've definitely seen kids in your neighborhood riding, hooliganing around in parking lots, doing some dirt jumps and stuff like that. Immensely popular bike for that pit bike world. But this is Surron's first full-size dirt bike with 18 21-inch wheels, 47 mil fork, real size hand controls, brake controls, seat, fenders. Everything is full-size dirt bike on this machine. We just got the price and just got the release on the pricing stuff a few weeks after the test we did at TKO, Tennessee Knockout Hard Enduro. And it's coming in at $84.99 retail price. So you're going to have, tax, title, and license fees and shipping and those sort of dealer fees associated with that. But an $8,500 price tag on this bike puts it into a more affordable category than other full-size electric off-road motorcycles in the market that we've seen. So my question going into the TKO, which is just a silly place to race, a crazy place to take a new bike from a manufacturer and test it. But kudos to the guys at Surron for giving us a shot. They brought it down there. This was the first year of the ECR, Electric Cycle Rider. Shout out to those guys. ECR E-Moto class at TKO, a class specifically for electric motorcycles to compete in the hardest terrain. Same course as the gas bikes on the amateur day. In a nutshell, here's how the bike worked in the race test. First of all, as a full-size bike, the biggest questions that come to mind for most people is how much does it weigh? And since it's electric, how long is it going to last? And both of those questions we answered pretty well at TKO. Number one, it weighs a lot. This bike's 290 pounds, as reported by Surron. We don't have one in our possession, so we couldn't weigh it. And the bike range is something that we can't actually accurately estimate either right now because we, again, don't have one in our possession. But during the race, I can tell you what happened. So we ran out of battery power in our race because we didn't start with a full battery. We started with a battery at about 85% charge. During that race, I went almost 2 hours. I went about an hour and 44 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes at a hard enduro pace, which is honestly, especially for me, extremely slow, but sort of challenging because you're on the gas a lot spinning or you're picking the bike up and spinning, trying to push it up stuff. So that's about the range you can expect. I think in my mind, you could probably get the claimed 75-mile range if you're going in the 20 to 30 mile an hour range of speed, and that's what they predict you can do. But we've seen those ranges fluctuate a lot on electric bikes. So until we get one in our hands and we really get to take it on a trail ride or a spirited trail ride or something like that, we can only kind of guess at this point. During the race, we didn't start with a full battery. If we had 100% battery, I could have gone 2 hours, I think, on the TKO course and been totally fine. So let's start with that as a really good estimate on how long it'll last. The performance of the bike is really good. It has right in that 30 horsepower range, so really equivalent to like a 250cc off-road bike, like a older generation CRF 250X or maybe an older generation Yamaha WR250. That's kind of the power feel it gives you. It's not overly fast, but it's adequate for most recreational trail riding. And that's the best thing about this bike in a lot of ways. Surron isn't saying it's a hyper-competitive race machine. They're saying this is a recreational off-road dirt bike, which is kind of refreshing because we get a lot of overhyped electric companies bringing us bikes that are supposed to be long-range adventure bikes and ultra-competitive motocross machines. We've seen a lot of that, and none of those have really proven true yet. So having a company like Surron give us a bike that is only claiming to be a recreational off-road bike, but with high-end components, it's still offering the benefits of an electric bike, such as, no noise, no less maintenance than a gas bike, and things like that is kind of nice. On the course, the bike performed really well. The suspension, the brakes, they're all not a real familiar brand name. It's like Fast Ace and on the suspension and unbranded brakes that I didn't even see a brand on, but they all work pretty well, especially at that recreational pace. And they all survived TKO, which is one of the most difficult races in the country to do. And especially when I'm doing it, because I'm abusing the bike worse than anybody else will. So I think in general, sense, the bike really performed great. Other than the weight factor, that was the biggest factor to me that I could feel that was a negative. It when it tips over quick because the battery's up high and it's heavy. That fatigued me faster than I think a gas bike would have fatigued me. But in a recreational setting, hopefully you're not tipping over your bike as much as I did at TKO. So to recap, performance-wise, we're thinking great motor, great performance, heavy, that's kind of a negative. Battery range, not totally sure on. And that kind of wraps it up. The cool things about the bike that are extreme advantages to me in a recreational off-road and even in this TKO race environment, hand brakes. When you're on a off camber going downhill and you got to put your foot on a rock, you got to sneak around it. Having the handbrake functionality of a front and rear brake system on your hands really becomes a useful trail tool once you program your brain how to remember to use it. The other thing I thought was an advantage, and the Surron is pretty unique in this factor, is that it has traction control built into the system. It's using wheel sensors to do that, so it's technically illegal for AMA competition. But since I'm not very competitive, I don't think that's a big deal. The traction control works pretty well in an off-road situation, even though I can kind of tell it's coming from a street-oriented world because it really kills almost all power when you're starting to spin the tire. It doesn't give you a lot of limited slip. It's mostly like any slip turns it off. But I did use it considerably on slippery, muddy sections, roots, and some loose rocks, and it actually propelled me through. You'll actually hear it in the video. You'll hear the rear tire like stopping and slipping and stopping and slipping as the traction control engages. So that was very, very cool benefit. The other benefits is if you can get another battery, you can swap this battery out in about 5 minutes. There's a couple little clips that clip it in, one plug, you can yank it out and put a new battery in. So if that was something in the future that became affordable and sort of feasible for someone in a race situation to stop and swap out a battery, it could happen. It comes with a 110-volt charger included in that price that Surron claims will charge the battery from dead in under 4 hours, which is pretty fast for how big the battery is. The battery is like 104 volt now. They upgraded it right before production. It was a 90 volt in the bike that I race, so my range will probably grow a little bit from my race test. But I'd love to get a bike and test it from dead to make sure you can do it in 4 hours, because that seems pretty quick to me. That's not fast enough for somebody to necessarily take out and burn 2 batteries in a day, because 4 hours is too long for a day to wait to do 2 rides, right? You're not going to do a 4-hour lunch break between your rides. But I think the Surron gives us a glimpse into the future of recreational off-road trail riding in the electric world. It certainly isn't going to replace a more affordable used gas bike in the market that will go almost unlimited range as long as you can plan your fuel stops or carry extra fuel with you. So there's still a real head-to-head competitive uphill battle for these electric bikes, in my opinion. But it's getting closer. And I think that Surron's the sort of company that's sort of nimble and light on their feet and kind of rogue in what they're developing and selling, that they're probably going to be able to make quick updates to this machine to make it more competitive to gas bikes, or at least more unique in its offering in the marketplace to be a more viable option for more people. I really think it looks great. It's going to get a lot of people turning their heads. When I was going up to the line at the race, there was people stopping me. Is that the new Storm Bee? Oh my God, is that the new Storm Bee? And also on the race course, if you happen to race one of these or any electric bike, people will talk to you the whole time and you can talk back to them because it's totally quiet. So they're all, hey, how is that thing? Is it heavy? Does that thing work awesome? And you're like, yeah, it's great. I'm tired. I can't really talk right now. So a really cool experience and all. I definitely think you should try one out. This is going to be a really cool bike if you have piece of property and you want to do, a couple-hour trail ride with your kids, or if you want to go, exploring on the local trails but not get more than an hour away from the truck. That's really where it's kind of hitting at in the market. To get the bike ready to go racing at TKO, I did absolutely nothing other than put new tires on it. It comes with a stock CST tire. I'm not really familiar with the tread pattern or the compound of that, and hard enduro traction is key. So I found we put a Kenda hard terrain front tire on it, and then I found a used IRC gummy rear tire that I put on. I just left the stock tubes in and dropped the pressure really low to keep it going. I didn't put handguards on it. I didn't put fancy levers on it. I didn't put a folding brake tip lever or anything like that on it. I rode it completely stock. So for it to survive that environment is kind of impressive. Good on you. All right, to quickly recap, Surron Storm Bee race test. Looks great. First full-size bike from Surron to come out. Great job on the looks. Styling is awesome. Feels legit. Controls, things like the brakes and the suspension and the foot pegs, they feel high quality. It doesn't feel like super cheap knockoff stuff at all. It actually performs on the track and the course really well too. You're going to get, for $8,500, you're going to get a charger. It's going to be set up to go riding right away. Very good base platform for you to start on. I really think the challenges it's going to face is weight in the market, and electric off-road bikes in particular are going to be having this range battle when they compare with the gas bikes for a long time. But given what you get with this bike for the price and how well it performed, honestly surprising, in my mind, one of the hardest testing environments in the world of motorcycling would be a hard enduro. Like, what a silly place to take a journalist and take him to ride one of your new bikes. It performed great. I thought it was really impressive, and I can't wait to try it, in a more like ownership way where I get to live with it and plug it in and try it longer. So look for more electric bikes coming in through Cycle News. There's just plenty of them knocking down our door right now, and we're expanding into that world as much as we can, as long as they're relevant and as long as we think readers like you would enjoy it. So I hope you enjoyed checking it out. There's also a full feature in the magazine that you can read for more details, including more measurement specs and other things that you can dig into to see if this bike fits you. All right, thanks for watching. Peace out.